everybody, John from JB's Total Gaming, and I've been doing some discussing on the forums of Board Game Geek about how to grow the channel. While I'm doing both video game and board game content, I got the advice that I really need to find a way to set apart my board game content from other people, and I feel like the thing that I try really hard to do particularly well is talk about why a game is worth buying or not. Not whether or not I personally find it good, but who may like or dislike the game. And yes, while I'll share my own opinions, obviously trying to, as widely as possible, talk about a game's appeal for different types of gamers. And today I'm going to be talking about Prosperity. I will be doing videos still every once in a while that are playthroughs or how to play things, but those videos will just focus on that, whereas in these videos we'll just focus on who may or may not like a game. So let's get down to what Prosperity is and whether or not you will like it. So what is Prosperity? You're trying to build a city, and you're trying to build it as best you can. And actually the player board here tells you everything you can do. You can get some money, get rid of some pollution, do some research, or buy tiles. And buying tiles is, where the key of the game is at. So each decade, tiles are going to come out. Now here's the thing. The tiles in here, they're the same every game, and then there are also some tiles that are already out at the start of the game. But the order they come out is important, because with each tile, a certain thing is going to be judged. Maybe your income, your power usage, your pollution, and things like that. So as you move up and down the pollution track, you may gain more points by uncovering these prosperity symbols. You may gain or lose money based on where your power levels are at. You're going to gain money for money symbols and things like that. And each thing will be judged in a random order each decade, even though the tiles in that decade are the same. And basically that's what you're going to be doing every round. There are the simple actions of just get a little bit of money, or remove a pollution or something like that, or move up a research on the track here. And basically as you move up, the tiles are going to be coming out on each side. Tiles that, are more kind of economic based, tiles that are more, environmental based, so maybe give you a lot of power and money, or good for your environment, or things like that. And there's kind of on each side, and you have two different technologies. So when you're playing the game, you want to, in general, focus on something maybe. Maybe you produce a lot of money and can buy any tile you want. Maybe you go up and down the research so you can buy tiles cheaper because how high you are affects the cost of things. Or you can, try to play middle of the road and just not be in deficits in one thing. Because if you really push for one thing, you're probably going to be in a deficit somewhere else. And it's about timing and figuring out, well, maybe this is scored this round, so I'm going to kind of ignore that a little while, but maybe it'll be the first thing to score next round. So, that's basically how the game's going to work. You do 2 of these actions every round. I mean, you could possibly buy 2 tiles or just take $200. And then every tile that you buy, you're going to have to fit on the board somewhere. So we have a green tile, and we can cover up a green space or go to an open green space if there is one. And there are none on the board, and then you unlock space and whatever. And there are 2 sides. One is just a little bit more difficult of a start position. Basically, that's the game. Now, you can see playthroughs and that or whatever, but just to give you an idea, if you really don't know what the game is, that's it. So let's get to the meat of it. Who is going to not like this game? Well, this game is not heavy on theme, and, well, none of these tiles actually say what they are. There is a sheet that tells you what they are, but are you really going to sit and look at that thing every turn as tiles come out and say what they are? Because things are thematically tied as to what they do, whether they pollute a lot and give you a lot of money or whatever, based on the name of the building, but they don't have names on the buildings, and you're probably not going to sit and read that chart. So if you really like, a heavily themed game with, the mechanisms and the themes tying in really well, that's not really there. If you're someone who, rolls coal and thinks that the whole idea of climate change was made up by liberal scientists who want grants, well, if you're someone who's offended by the idea of CO2 or whatever, you may not like this game too. I mean, there are people who feel that way, because there is an idea where as you get rid of these pollution disks, you'll score more points. However, by not worrying about that so much, you'll be able to get maybe more money or other resources. So it's not like the game punishes you for having more pollution in your territory, it's just a different style of gameplay. But it's something to consider. Some people don't like that idea of feeling like they're being preached to. I personally don't feel like this game is doing that, but some people may feel that way. So if you're heavy on theme, if you're heavy, if that thing offends you, then you may not like this game. Also, it could be because everybody's taking 2 actions. If you have some AP prone players in your group, while the actions are super simple. You basically get a thing or get a tile and you do 2 of those on your turn. With full player count, it could be a while if people are really determining where things go. And so if you don't like that spreadsheety feel, if your group is basically like, we just want to win and I'm just looking at the symbols and what they raise up and what they lower down, and that's all you get out of the game, you may not enjoy that. However, who's going to like or maybe even love this game? Well, if you enjoy that spreadsheety thing where like your whole thing is, you know, what's the most efficient thinking ahead, you know, what has scored, what hasn't scored, and you're okay with the fact that I'm just trying to figure out, well, you know, this symbol, okay, this maybe I use this to cover up something that's polluting a lot. So I get rid of 2 pollution and get 2 ecology, so I basically move +4 on ecology, which is great, but I'm covering up my money producing. Do I have enough money producing, you know, stuff like that. Those decisions, if you enjoy those decisions kind of, you know, with a very loose or absent theme, then you might enjoy this game. Also, if you have a game group like mine that likes to kind of create the story of the game as you play. Somebody just has a bunch of pollution and they're producing a lot of money. They start to play as this, you know, Montgomery C. Burns sort of character, and another player, you know, is going for, you know, high research and they're not having to pay for anything, but everything else is bad and they're the mad scientist and whatever. And you have a group that just naturally creates a story in a game that doesn't necessarily have one thrown at you, then you might also enjoy this game. So there's who I think may not like it, who may like it. Now, what about overall appeal? Now, overall appeal, I'm not going to give a number to the game, and even this kind of score I'm going to give here isn't like me saying that the game itself is something out of 10 or whatever, but I'm going to say the overall appeal of this game is just slightly above average. Now, why do I say that? I haven't played this game with anybody who, like, hated it and thought it was terrible, but I also haven't played this game with anybody who, like, loved it and thought it was amazing. The general consensus was, yeah, that was pretty cool, I'd play it again, but not like, bring that again next week, or let's play that again right away. Now, that's a pretty rare reaction, but it has definitely happened with some games that I've played. So this game, I give it slightly above average, because like I said, in general, people seem to be like, yeah, that's pretty cool. The mechanisms are pretty smooth. There's nothing about the mechanisms that I would find people going, oh, this is terrible. Maybe people feel like there's too little variability because the same tiles come out each decade, but it is important what order they score, so that does give a little bit of strategy to the game, if not a huge amount of variability. So that's why I'll say that, you know, the game has a pretty good overall appeal, but it's not one that I would recommend everyone go out and get. Basically, if you're a group that can create your own story, or you enjoy the idea of, like, you know, how can I best balance these resources? And there is a kind of thing, there are tiles that will give you victory points every time the prosperity aspect scores. So how quickly do you go after those tiles? That's a timing thing as well, and an interesting part of the game, because in general those tiles aren't going to help your other stats as much, so you might end up with less money or more pollution, which will affect you in other ways. And overall, I feel like that's pretty balanced. Like a lot of games, you definitely could end up with a runaway leader, and there isn't really player interaction, so that's something else to keep in mind, except maybe someone taking a tile right before it's your turn, and that's probably about the extent of player interaction. Not a ton of interaction, not a ton of theme, and a little bit spreadsheety, maybe the negatives if you're someone who's against that sort of thing. But the positives are pretty smooth gameplay, you can make a story out of it, and if you kind of enjoy that idea of making decisions and having to sacrifice something to gain something else, then this is a game that you and your group might enjoy. So there's the people who I think might want to buy Prosperity, a pretty lightly themed but smoothly playing game about building the best city. And to throw it out there, because this is also an important thing, the base price for this game is around $50. You can get it on Amazon for, I believe, like $26 right now, and obviously, like most board games, price will vary based on where you buy it. Another note, this game does have paper money, and it's not very good paper money, so if you're someone who's really offended by that, you may not like that as well. So that's a look at Prosperity. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know. This is my plan from now on, and I can change that in the future, but I'm going to try doing videos that are either just the gameplay, like I did of automobiles, just how to play, or a video just about who may or may not like this game and whether or not you should buy it. So if that's a format you guys like, let me know, and then hopefully we continue to grow the channel. I do, at JB's Total Gaming, have video game and board game content. I do try to do a lot of video games that board gamers may like, and then just some that I enjoy, but if you don't want any of that, you can just ignore it. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video. Maybe take a look at the channel, maybe subscribe, or not. because I'm really trying to spend a lot of time on the channel and grow it. And like I said, let me know if you like this new way of looking at it and just kind of trying to really focus on who may or may not like a game. And we'll be back with more games, and if you're really interested, you can find me on Twitch and Twitter under the same name, JB's Total Gaming, and we'll talk to you guys again soon. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye!